Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams that leave all worries behind you. But in your dreams, whatever they be, dream a little dream of me.
Good morning. You are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz, KSQD 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. I am Catherine Bell, and this is The Dream Journal, a weekly show where we explore the healing powers of your nighttime dreams through conversations with dream experts and with you. In the words of Carl Jung, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Today we explore the farther reaches of the human spirit with poet, author, and psychologist Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum. Two of his recent books are The Dream Life of Families and Our African Unconscious. Bruce also has numerous books of poetry, including The First Bird, The Luminous Heretic, and Gospel of the Dark Orisha. I am Catherine Bell of Experiential Dreamwork, and welcome to the Dream Journal. The Dream Journal is also a podcast, so you can look for that on all of your regular podcast places, and also on the KSQD website, where you can find the show page at ksqd.org/the-dream-journal. So look for the Dream Journal, review it, subscribe, and tell your friends. Oh, okay, well, I'm settling into the beautiful music of Rick Kleffel. You never know what you're going to get with Rick. It's always different every week, and I just love it. And so it helps me to really drop into myself. I'm feeling myself down my belly. What is coming on for me? So, yeah, I had my dream session this week. I do a session with Bill St. Cyr, who has been on the show several times. And I have a session every 3 or 4 weeks, and it was very powerful this week. There was something that came up for me in a dream, and it sparked a memory of mine. And I had the chance to kind of re-script the memory, so I just want to speak that out loud and see what to share with the listeners what that's all about. That I had this thing that happened when my son was little, and we were at a public swimming pool, and I overheard a woman saying to her daughter, or maybe her granddaughter, "There she is, smiling Kylie. I like smiling Kylie." And it just went through me like, wow, like Kylie doesn't get to have any feelings. And how many of us we're not allowed to have our feelings. And that memory has been like really vivid for me. And in exploring the dreams, I found myself re-scripting the conversation, and really the words that came out for me were, "Oh, there's Kylie. Look, it's Kylie who knows what she wants and knows what she doesn't want." And it's very, it just still brings up a lot of feeling in me to let myself be the one who knows what she wants and what she doesn't want. That has been a journey for me to understand my feelings and to accept them and trust them. And so this is where I'm at today, and I'm really glad to be sharing this with you all. Today, as usual, I am inviting call-ins during the last 20 minutes of the show, so you can get ready for that. You might want to jot down that number now. It is 831-900-5773. That's 900 KSQD. You'll be able to share a dream or ask a question. We'll have the phone lines open in about 30 minutes. The number again is 831-900-5773. Or you can send me an email at any time during the show at onair@ksqd.org. That's ONAIR at ksqd.org. I will check that email throughout the show, so you're welcome to send me a question or comment by email during the show. So Dr. Edward Bruce Bynum is a licensed psychologist, and he's a diplomat, and has a focus on psychosomatic medicine, biofeedback, hypnosis, and individual psychotherapy. He lives and works in Hadley, Massachusetts, and is an author and a poet. He is giving presentations at the upcoming IASD conference about dreams and ethnicity, and you can check his webpage at obeliskfoundation.com. So glad to have you here. Bruce, maybe you can tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey with dreams.
When I got to college, I started being able to read about dreams in some sort of format that was something I could digest. And then finally, when I got to graduate school, when I started doing a serious study of not only dreams, but my own dreams. And interestingly enough, up until that time, I would have a lot of dreams every night. But I remember thinking, okay, just before graduate school, and I said, okay, now it's time to make a serious study of your dreams. And I said that out loud to myself, and wouldn't you know it, immediately my mind stepped in, and I didn't have a dream for about half a year.
You didn't have any dreams at all?
I began a serious study of my dreams the year or so before graduate school, and when I did, immediately depression set in. I didn't have any dream recall for about 6 months, and then gradually started coming back. So it showed me the power of repression, you know. And after that, I began keeping notes on my dreams, and I even wanted to do a study on dreams for my dissertation at graduate school at Penn State. And I told them what I wanted to do then on shared dreaming. And nobody wanted to have anything to do with it.
Now, is that where you tell me about shared dreaming? Like what? I have some.
Well, shared dreaming is where you and someone, usually somebody you're close to, has a very high correspondence at pretty much the same time in your dream life. And things that are reported by people who are in intimate contact with each other, be they family members or lovers or confidants, will every now and then have dreams that are almost the same content. And that's what I wanted to do. Nobody in the department would have anything to do with it. So I settled for my second interest, which was hypnosis. But I continued the interest in dreams, keeping logs of dreams, talking to other people about their dreams, collecting dreams, and eventually, when I was doing a postdoc and I had a chance to study families, I started asking families to keep their dream logs for me, just to sort of humor me because I was interested in this and so forth. And lo and behold, I started getting from families who were in clinical treatment dreams in which many of their dreams corresponded with each other. And I told them not to tell each other what they were dreaming, just to write it down for me, so there wouldn't be any contamination. And so that was my first publication on dreaming, and it was about dreaming and shared dreams. So it came from that early time when I was a kid, stayed with me, with twists and turns and movements and all across everything else, and they eventually came out after I was out of graduate school. So that's really the autobiography of my dreaming.
Okay, well, that's just been a lifelong passion.
It's a lifelong passion, and I write about dreams. I've studied the interior of dreaming, and every now and then I'm able to, during dreams, become wide awake and begin meditating in dreams, and that's a whole different, interesting kind of experience. So I continue my interest in dreaming, and I'm glad there are folks like you out there who are interested in bringing this to the wider public.
Yeah, absolutely.
God knows we're all interested in our dreams.
Everybody dreams every night. Yep.
Everybody dreams every night. Whether we say we believe, quote, in dreams or not, unquote, we all implicitly know that we do.
Yeah, the dreams believe in us.
Yes, they do.
They keep coming every night.
They keep coming, and they're too emotionally important.
Yeah. Yes.
And, they are. They're too emotionally important. We may not know exactly the correspondence, but we know deep down this is my story, and it's about me.
Right. Well, there's something revolutionarily vital about dreaming, that it seems like all mammals dream, and maybe even like lizards and dream, and birds, and so there's something.
A possibility.
It seems like, at least they go through like periods of sleep, which we akin to dreaming, because you can't ask the bird, so what did you dream about last night? But you can study them.
Right. You can study them, and you can study their brainwave patterns, and it's probable that they have something like that because they are conscious beings. But we definitely know, like you pointed out, that all the higher mammals dream, for absolutely sure, and so do the dogs. I mean, I remember seeing my dog laying on his side, and he's sleeping away, but yet he's kind of barking a little bit, and his feet are moving, and he's off having some adventure somewhere.
Totally. And there is something like really vital, and people who stop dreaming, there's actually a disease called fatal familial insomnia, which is like an onset in late 30s, early 40s. People, it's extremely rare, and it's highly genetic, but it's very rare. They stop dreaming, and they don't live. They actually, within a year or two of onset of lack of dreams, they die. So we need to dream.
We have to dream. It's a biological necessity. It's part of our internal circadian rhythms. And if we don't, after a while we become ill. During back in the 1950s, during the Korean War, the North Koreans actually perfected the art of what we later call, quote, brainwashing, unquote. And what they did is, instead of sort of physically torturing American prisoners of war and so forth, what they did is they kept you awake and didn't let you sleep.
Right.
Well, the first 24 hours, you're pretty weirded out, but you can keep pushing it through. After 36 hours, you're pretty tired, but you can still push it. 48 hours, you start having unclear mental connections between one situation and the next. By 60 hours, you'll tell me anything, and you won't know what you're really saying, and that's when you can plant an idea or change a person's mind. It is very effective brainwashing. So we still do it in varying ways around the world. Wow. But if you don't, you begin to hallucinate while you're wide awake.
Right. Well, just ask any college kid pulled an all-nighter,
Yeah.
Your little brainwashing.
Again, we can pull it off. Yeah, we can do it for 24 hours and we're fine. But after 36 hours, problems.
So this is Dr. Bruce Bynum, and we are talking about, well, I'd like to get to some of your two recent books, The Dream Life of Families, which you've touched on just a little bit, though, and I'd like to talk more about that, and Our African Unconscious. And, if dreams are so vital to humanity, and they've come like through the African continent, which is the birthplace of humanity. So I'd like to talk some more about your views on that. And this is the Dream Journal, and you are listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM, Community Radio of Santa Cruz. My name is Catherine Bell, and we'll be right back with Dr. Bruce Bynum.
Every night I hope and pray a dream lover will come my way, a girl to hold in my arms and know the magic of her charms, 'cause I want a girl to call my own. I want a dream lover so I don't have to dream alone.
You are listening to the Dream Journal on K-Squid 90.7 FM, streaming live at ksqd.org. My name is Catherine Bell, and our guest today is Dr. Bruce Bynum. So I'd like to talk a little bit about our African unconscious and the origin. This is a recent book of yours, The Black Origins of Mysticism and Psychology. So, like I was saying before the break, everything went through Africa. We all came from Africa. So all of our spirituality must have come from there as well, since we know that extends back a long ways.
Oh, yes. Yeah. In fact, the three major Western religions all have their roots in ancient Kemetic or indigenous African Egypt. In fact, millions of people every year repeat over their Passover Seder. In Egypt, did Israel become a nation? They were very aware that they became a nation in Egypt before the Exodus with Moses. In Islam, the prophet left Arabia and went to the southern parts of east coast of Africa during his flight, and the early leaders of the faith came from that part of the world. And in Christianity, the first 100 years of Christianity were primarily in North Africa. The Desert Fathers, St. Augustine, all of those folks, they were in North Africa, and then later it spread to other parts of Europe. So the three Western religions all have their genesis in the African continent, as we did as a species. But how this pertains to dreams is that...
Oh, before we get to dreams, actually, I want to get to dreams in just a second, but there's a question I have related directly to what you're just talking about here, which is that it's always, made me think, or certainly for a long time, that when we portray Jesus is traditionally as this very milk white, pale white person, and yet where he lived and grew up, surely
of course.
Sorry?
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely. Your intuition is right.
I mean, either he was at least swarthy, if not black. So there's surely the actual human was a very different race than we tend to portray him in modern times.
Well, I mean, it's actually the only written description, the only written description of Jesus the Christ that's in the Bible describes him as with feet the color of bronze and hair like sheep's wool.
Oh, wow.
Yes, it's in Revelation.
Okay.
Yes, it describes it. It physically describes it. But that's inconvenient for a lot of political reasons, as you well know.
Yeah.
But yes, and Jesus the Christ healed in many different ways. He was a phenomenal avatar. And he also healed through touch. He healed through dreams. And he healed in many, many, many other ways. So, as you hinted at before, people do learn to heal in dreams. And as the ancient Kemetic Egyptians proved, we also travel or fly in our dreams. That seems fantastical.
Yeah, what do you mean?
Fantastical
What do you mean?
to the modern mind.
Yeah.
Well, I mean
me.
they were able to leave the physical body and travel and gather information. Now, today, we say the same thing, but we call it something different. When we're able to observe something in very distant location without ourselves physically being there, it's referred to as remote viewing. And it has been replicated hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times. In fact, the military uses that.
Yes.
As a technique. It's called remote viewing. And prior to that, it came under other different kinds of names. But the fact that our minds, our brains, I shouldn't say not our brains, but our minds have the capacity for what's called nonlocal information processing. The word is nonlocal. It means beyond the physical body. We don't exactly know how it works, but we do know some of the parameters around it such that it can be entered into at various times. But the ancient Egyptians and many people in West Africa had refined it into a very high art. And so it is there as a human potential. We have not reached that level yet on a collective scale, but it's connected to dreaming for sure. It's connected to dreaming for sure.
Yeah, say more. How does this? There's such thing as astral travel that sounds like a bit like that people do while they're sleeping, like the remote viewing but people do while they're awake, as I understand it. But then there's these other things. Say some more about that connection with dreamings, please. Well,
when we dream, most of the world believes. The only exceptions are large populations in Europe and the United States. So most of the world believes that when we are dreaming, that in some way we are somewhat removed from the physical body. And that doesn't mean that we necessarily take long travels, but we are somewhat removed from the physical body. Now, if you were a clinical psychiatrist, psychologist, and you experienced that phenomenon in one of your patients, you would say the patient was, quote, clinically dissociated.
Yeah.
That's the language we use
It's
in
like
psychology and psychiatry.
Pathologizing it, yeah.
We pathologize
Yeah.
it. And in many cases, it is a pathological experience. In many cases, but by no means all. It is a human potential. And so we talk about dissociation. We talk about out-of-body experience. We talk about remote viewing. All these capacities that human beings have, but we haven't figured out a system yet. So we are in need of what's called a paradigm shift, a different way of perceiving data and information. It makes sense, and we're moving toward that. I mean, we human beings will figure it out.
Yeah. But tell me, what's your vision? What's your vision of this paradigm shift? What are we moving toward?
I think we're moving toward a realization that our consciousness, our very consciousness, yours and mine, has a local dimension to it, i.e., in my brain, we're talking right now, but also it's non-local. It can extend itself to vast distances without any overt or obvious causal mechanism in between. In physics, that phenomenon is referred to as non-locality. And quantum mechanics has demonstrated that experimentally hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of times. And information moves faster than the speed of light. And it's based on the realization that matter, physical matter, is not only physical and local, but it's also it is energetic and spreads out, so that makes it non-local. And it can affect things at great distances, sometimes seemingly almost spontaneously. And, some people liked that idea, some people didn't. Einstein accepted it, but he just didn't like it.
Right, spooky action at a distance.
He referred to it as spooky action at a distance.
Yeah, spooky. Ooh,
right.
Can't have that.
So, but it's real. It's real. We just haven't figured out how it works. And I tried very much in the dream life of families to codify that, how that happens in the shared dream life of individuals. Most families, the dreams of them are individual dreams, but periodically a field, F-I-E-L-D, a field effect arises, usually during a crisis situation,
I see.
in which we have intimate access into the dream life of another person that we are very, very close to. It's been called crisis telepathy, and there are literally thousands upon thousands of case documentations of this. It's called crisis telepathy, and it's part of a broader range of what's called anomalous phenomena or psychic experience, or whatever you want to call it, psi, that is demonstrated. We just don't know what to make of it yet in mainstream science. So we're in the process of a paradigm shift, and I see that's where we're moving as a species. And I try to articulate that in our African unconscious, because we are all permutations of the original Homo sapiens sapiens, Africans that came out of Africa. We've been around in our present manifestation as Homo sapiens sapiens for about 150,000 years at the very minimum, probably more like 250,000. We have. But when we traveled out of Africa, we all looked like Africans.
Oh, yeah. We were Africans.
We were,
yeah,
still are. And
still are, yes.
So-called racial diversification, ethnic differences, those didn't really start happening until about 25 to 30,000 years ago.
That's very recent, evolutionarily.
Very recent.
Yeah.
Out of 150,000 to 200,000 year history, the last 25 to 30,000 years did we see, quote, Asiatic forms of us, European forms of us, indigenous South American forms of us emerge as part of a climate adaptation to the surrounding situation, because it is helpful to adapt to your environment, and that's what we did. And so, but genetically, we're all the same species. There have been no speciation. So that is the central thrust of the African unconscious. Plus, as we pointed out earlier, we go into great lengths to show that the origins of our spiritual intuitions, which I believe, by the way, are biogenetically rooted. I don't believe we create spirituality. I believe that we discover it.
Well,
Like the winds, the waves, gravity.
Right.
We
Well,
don't
that's
create gravity.
yeah.
We discover it.
Well, that's certainly what happened to me in my dream life. Is like I've been a kind of no particular religion since leaving home, and I was like quite astonished to discover as I got deeper into my dreams that there seems to be these divine beings, or maybe different manifestations of one. The quantity becomes kind of artificial, but there's some kind of divine communication that's like happening for me, and that there's a sense of that there's like a consciousness that wants to cherish me and to help like, make me feel cherished, and there's like have a relationship specifically with me, and it's a real kind of a spiritual awakening for me that there is something, that's just. Yeah, so what you're saying, it found me. I wasn't looking for it. I just was unhappy and wanted to feel better, and then here comes God. Who would have thought?
Hundreds of millions of us have had the exact same experience that you have in various forms, and depending on our cultural situation, we've organized it differently. You had developed in West Africa, you would have the same experience, only you would call these beings Orisha. Call these beings Loa. And you would be periodically, quote, mounted by the Loa, unquote, which is badly misunderstood as possession.
Okay.
Badly misunderstood. So that's a religious phenomenon. If you had grown up in Dravidian India, you would have referred to them as something else. If you had grown up in Tibet, you would have referred to them as something else. Okay?
Yeah.
If you had grown up in Northern Ireland, you would have referred to the same phenomenon by other words. So this is deeply ingrained in us as beings. And my sense is that the next level of our development as a species will be to learn about this and to take it from the level of little sparks here and there to an organized system. 200 years ago, people would take a glass tube and rub wool on it, and they'd get sparks,
right?
Little sparks. And eventually, through scientific experimentation and investigation, they found that those sparks were electricity, and then they found out that electricity was related to magnetism, and then after the understanding of the two together, we came up with electromagnetism, and then we began working with the electrical switches, and now we have electricity, the snap of a finger, right?
Right.
That's how it began. I believe we're moving in the same direction with what we call spirit consciousness. Those are the primitive words we're using today. At some point in the future, it will be as commonplace as electricity is today.
Oh, wow.
That's our evolution, I believe, as a species. And we're moving toward that. We're moving toward that.
So we need to experience the sparks, like if you're using the analogy with a spark. So as we become maybe more aware of these spiritual impulses and spiritual connections, then we can start to, I don't even know, just to make it something that we're aware of and talk about. I'm always a little worried about, making something institutional. Like humans have messed that up so many times.
Well, that's true. We've messed it up an awful lot of times.
Yeah.
But, we also institutionalized many other things, and the net effect was railroads and bridges,
electricity,
and other things.
Yeah,
so
true.
We screw up an awful lot, but we don't screw up everything.
Okay, that's some hope.
Right.
Excellent.
I think we're going to make it. I'm very optimistic.
Good.
I think we're
Okay.
going to make it.
Well, it's so personal. That's the thing is there is no mediator. That it's each person in their dreams, and so a community or somebody to talk about the dreams is really helpful, but it's not like they're not going to tell me what my dream is because I know what it is. I experienced it.
Yeah, you know what it is. What it is.
And either your idea about my dream makes sense to me or it doesn't, and so you're not going to convince me of something that's not there.
No, I'm not going to convince you of something that's not there.
Yeah.
What it can help you with is draw out, elucidate what your connections, your associations, are to that dream and its connection to the rest of your life. And that's what good dream interpretation does. That's what Freud really did.
Yep.
And that's what Jung really does.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have some of that on display when we have our conference. There's a conference coming up I want folks to hear about, called the International Association for the Study of Dreams.
Yep.
And that's going to be in June.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a Zoom conference. People can Zoom into that. But it's in the middle of June.
Yep, June 13th through the 17th.
Right, yes. And I'm going to be focusing on giving some presentations there along with lots of other people. And my particular, hopefully, contribution this time will be a symposium with several other people. One, a woman psychologist, Fanny Brewster. Mm-hmm. She's going to be talking about dreaming in color. She's a Jungian analyst, and she's done a lot of work with dreams and communities and healing. Mm-hmm. And another person who's going to be on that panel is going to be Alaya Danu. She's going to be talking about ancestral dreaming.
Yeah, we had Alaya on the radio show a few weeks ago. Fabulous woman.
Great.
Yep.
And she's going to be there, and so will another psychologist woman, Awodolo, and she has an institute, the Institute of African-Centered Thought, and she's going to be doing a presentation on the ancestral healing identity theory, healing through dreams. Mm. And I'm going to be doing one of the same symposium on extended family networks and dreaming. So we've gotten together, and we're hoping to make a contribution to our collective understanding of dreaming with a particular African emphasis on it. Because while it's there in the literature, it's kind of scattered. And so what we're trying to do is focus it a little bit closer. Yeah. And it'll give me an opportunity to talk about my own interest in extended family systems and dreams, and put that in the context of all of us, our collective human history as an African rooted species.
Absolutely.
Because that is what our ancestry was, and that is what we're going to be taking with us as we go out to the stars.
Thank you, Dr. Bynum.
Be on good terms with that.
Well done. I love that. I'm really looking forward to those presentations, and you can learn out more about the conference at asdreams.org, and there'll be a link to that on the episode page, asdreams.org, and it's something that I've been looking forward to for quite some time. So this is the Dream Journal. You are listening to K-Squid 90.7 FM, Community Radio of Santa Cruz. I'm Catherine Bell, and our guest today is Dr. Bruce Bynum. And Dr. Bynum has thoughtfully offered to read one or two of his dreams. And I was thinking after we play this break here, after we go through the break, if it would be okay with you, Bruce, to maybe we could come back in and you could read one of your poems for our listeners.
Yes, I'd enjoy doing that.
Okay, fantastic.
I hope you like it.
Fantastic. I'm looking forward to it. And we are about to start our last segment, so if you want to call in and get in the queue to talk online, the number to call is 831-900-5773, or you can email me at onair@ksqd.org. So the number again is 831-900-5773. Max is standing by to take the calls.
I need you so that I could die. I love you so, and that is why whenever I want you, all I have to do is dream, 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 dream.
This is the Dream Journal, and we are here with Dr. Bruce Bynum, and you can find out more about him at obeliskfoundation.com. So welcome back, Bruce.
I'm glad to be back. Glad to be back here.
Okay. Thank you. So the phones are open. Some people can call in while Bruce is reading his poem or sharing it. And the number is 831-900-5773. So tell us a little bit about this poem. How do you want to introduce or just dive in?
This is a poem. It's called "I Dreamed," And actually, some of you may be aware of it. Those of you who get the magazine, Dreamtime magazine, this first appeared there last year. It's called I Dreamed. I dreamed I looked up the river and saw inspiration coming. It had long fingers, spoke like an educated woman on a walk, thinking about different ways to die. I dreamed there were fish far older than anyone had imagined, circulating in ponds with enormous fins, intoxicated with grief over the sudden loss of heaven, their imprisonment in scaly bodies. I dreamed I could move effortlessly through binoculars, zero in on a razor in a hotel bathroom. I dreamed of my past in the merchant marines, when Nazis hunted me down in wolf packs, and later Hitler's remains were sealed up in transparent wax, shipped to a villa in the South Argentine. I dreamed I became so beautiful I could fly, minnows swimming below me astonished, holding me even closer to their watery religion. I dreamed my brain morphed into an immense heart that could no longer think, that everything I did became an article of faith based upon an intimate miracle fitting inside of a walnut shell. I dreamed the finest makers of wine came back from the dead. I dreamed of roses vaguely conscious of their own birth. I dreamed of flying saucers with missionaries aboard on a 10,000-year quest to intensify the galaxy with resonant beings, that I was a pyramid builder once when a friend suddenly killed me for screwing his wife. There's a leper colony inside of me. It grows the most beautiful flowers. I know this because I took a walk in the woods between the end of fall and the coming of winter, when the leaves were down, the color of a copperhead or a water snake, only duller, needing to be polished and made more secular or at least capable of change. I know the dream is true because the whole stagecoach it's riding in is being pulled by horses, blindfolded, led by a watchman escaped from the asylum, no longer on his meds. I know the dream is faithful to the early and unerring voices because I have seen clothes drying out by moonlight, watched my own mother leave her body, then return unconscious, still holding on strong to her radiant Christ. I know the dream is here to validate somewhere in the universe something vast is thinking. I know that I am a small nail in the hull of a great ship. I know this because a bat swarmed out of the fog one night in a dream. I had that dream on a cold morning. I was refusing to dissolve even when I opened my eyes. That bat followed me all day. Many noticed but said nothing. Eventually a river filled in the afternoon because it was overflowing with local rain sucking up all the evening news programs. That's when he escaped down the back stairs and out of my life when no one was looking. I dreamed the trees outside my window lost all their bark, became spiders, sharp and immense, children in bits of hair tangled up in their teeth. The proof of this is a simple extrapolation from mathematics, provided I knew the earth itself could dream me into something that held no edges. I dream of sweet milk and the autobiography of the hollowed into my eyes, the trains who disappear from my dreams just before I awake. I catch them slipping over the farthest point on the lake. I know most dreams do not survive the night. I know most of them are buried like small children in graves that have no name.
Wow.
There.
Thank you. Yes, all those dreams we don't remember.
All the dreams we don't remember.
And all the ones we do. I mean, there's such a rich array. Thinking of being the nail in the hull of a large ship. I think that's beautiful, like how we each have our contribution to make.
Right, we all do. We all do.
We all do. Thank you.
We all do. We don't exactly see how we fit necessarily. We all are critical to the infrastructure of the emergence of our species.
Mm-hmm.
All of us. All of us.
Absolutely. I often think that the dream work that I do is the most important activism as far as moving the human race forward is doing my dream work. That's my personal belief.
Yes. Yes.
So tell me about poetry, Bruce. How That one clearly has lots of dreams in it. Do you use your dreams to inspire your poetry often as well? You have several books.
Yes,
Wow.
yes, I have several, and the first book I wrote actually was called A Dreaming Skull.
Oh. That was the one image from the poem that really struck me, of the skulls like in a walnut shell, like the brain inside a walnut. It is like a walnut, isn't it?
It is. It is. You open up a walnut and it looks like there's a little brain inside it.
Wow.
No, I would be hard pressed to be able to show you a clear line of demarcation between my clinical scientific interests on one hand and my interest in the arts and poetry on another, and my immersion in the science of spirituality on another. And the spirituality truly is a science. We don't think of it that way. We think of science and religion as split off from each other. That is only a situation that's happened in the last 300 or 400 years, and only in the Western world. The ancient world did not do that, and they were not unscientific. They were very scientific. It's just that they didn't dissociate science and spirit and revelation from the workings of the physical world. They just didn't do that.
Right. It was much more integrated at that point,
as far as the
disciplines. Right, now we have these categories, like we break up into the different categories. That's the cool thing about the IASD, actually, is that it is a group that encompasses all people, because all but in dreams, but it's all the way from artists and poets to psychologists to clinical research and authors and history, culture.
Yes.
It's just everything affecting dreams.
Yes, that's one of the most fascinating and phenomenal things I found out about dreams, because dreams have been the inspiration of extraordinary art, literature, painting, and at the same time, many of the most profound scientific discoveries have come through dreaming.
Yes.
Kikuya, the discoverer of the benzene ring, and revolutionized biology, had a dream about a snake swallowing its own tail.
Right.
Someone literally dreamed the periodic table into existence when there were missing places in it.
Yeah.
So dreams have been deeply instrumental in our most profound intuitions, both scientifically and also spiritually and otherwise.
Absolutely. So I got an email question here from Sally in Decatur, Georgia. She says she's registered for the ASD conference, and she said that I heard you say that some of the sessions are limited, and we should sign up early. So that has not been released yet. Probably in early June, everybody who's registered for the conference will receive an email with links about registering for the limited workshops. Most of the opportunities are unlimited, but some of the workshops and the morning dream groups do have limited attendance, and so you'll be able to register for those in early June. And then she also asked, what day is the seminar that your guest just spoke about? Oh, and she says, I love the Dream Journal. Oh, thank you, Sally. I was just looking to see what day the Dreams and Ethnicity program is going to be. Do you remember? Is it Monday?
Yes, mine is going to be on with the other three folks that I'm presenting, and we're going to be doing ours on Monday, June 14th.
June 14th,
I
okay.
believe.
Yeah,
around 1 o'clock or 3. We have a 2-hour slot, and we're going to each give a presentation in our particular area of focus for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes, and then all four of us are going to be on one symposium, and it's going to be wide open, and we're just going to go back and forth with each other. Each one of us has a different foci, different area of emphasis, and I'm hoping that we all learn from each other and that folks tune into it and that folks allow themselves to be inspired, because we're so much vaster as individuals and beings than we imagine ourselves to be.
Absolutely, we really are. Yes, that's all a Monday afternoon on June 14th. It looks like starts at noon and goes to about 4 o'clock in 2 separate sessions about the dreams of ethnicity. And during that same period, there's other offerings as well. This is a multi-track conference where there are up to 5 tracks running. Actually, in the dream groups during the mornings, 8 to 9 o'clock every morning, there's dream groups. There's actually 10 groups going at the same time, and you get to choose.
Yes.
And those are all limited attendance, though you can always just show up, even if you don't sign up for a workshop, and then there may or may not be space for you. But if there's something you really want to be at and you didn't get a chance to sign up, just go ahead and show up. And I will be running one of the dream groups. Plus, I have a presentation, a 30-minute talk. I believe it's Wednesday afternoon. But the schedule is already online. You can look for that. Was the asdreams.org, and then look for the international conferences. That's probably the easiest way to find that. So, Sally,
I encourage.
email.
Sally, I thank you very much, and I'm hoping, Sally, that you and lots of other people tune into it. This is your birthright. Every trail, every area of knowledge that our species, human beings, Homo sapiens, has discovered, refined, come up with, is part of our collective dream work, rather in our collective mind. Mm-hmm. And through our dreams, discipline, connection through our dreams, we have access to that. And if you think that that's just a crazy idea, we already do that through what's called the internet and the cloud. Okay?
Right.
All right? So if people are out there listening saying, that makes no sense at all, we're already doing that technologically using electromagnetism in ways, and quantum mechanics,
That's
okay?
true.
So it's also the case that this is true for us, and this has been true for us for untold millennia. And this is your birthright. It's not the province of only people with some particular kind of emphasis or degree of specialization in something. No, that's one of the seductions of modern science, to think that if you don't have a sophisticated background in this particular science, you don't have access to the wisdom of that tradition. And that's simply not true. So don't cancel yourself out of that.
Thank you. Well, this is Dr. Bruce Bynum. Thank you. And I know you have the obeliskfoundation.com is one of the web pages you shared with me. What is the best way for folks to get in touch with you?
That would be the best,
okay.
or because I have my address there, and folks are really want to ask me about something in particular, they can contact either one of the press, and they relay that mail directly to me.
Okay, and that's obelisk, O-B-E-L, how do you spell it? O-B-E-L-I-S-K, obeliskfoundation.com.
Yeah. Yeah, okay. It's like an Egyptian obelisk. So www.obeliskfoundation.com.
Excellent.
Straight out and simple.
Okay.
It's right there, and it has papers you can download about these various areas, and it's an educational institution, and my purpose, my work here is to dispense this information, this collective wisdom that we all have access to, that we've all contributed to in various ways for a long, long time. This is the birthright of everyone.
Well, that sounds like a wonderful way to end the show, the birthright of everyone. This has been a fascinating conversation, and I'm excited to be putting this out as a podcast, and which will be released on Monday. So, Dr. Bynum, thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Catherine. I've really enjoyed this, and I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to touch a lot of other lives out there.
Absolutely. I'm so glad. Well, take care of yourself, and I will see you at the conference.
You betcha.
Okay.
All right, further down the road.
That's it. Bye. So next week we will continue to hear from IASD conference presenters, and we will be speaking with Dr. Bernard Welt about dreams and creativity, including about what a Midsummer Night's Dream reveals about beliefs around dreaming in the time of Shakespeare. So tune in next week or look for the podcast. In the meantime, you can find out about the conference at asdreams.org. Also starting Monday, June 7th, join me for a new interactive Zoom workshop series. We have different topics every month, and this month of June, will be about how dreams help us process trauma and move us towards emotional balance, even if we don't remember them. Take yourself from the roller coaster of life to the park bench. If you'd like to join this ongoing community, contact me at Catherine@ksqd.org.
Sweet dreams till sunbeams find you. Sweet dreams.
I am Catherine Bell, and this has been the Dream Journal. Thanks for listening. You can find out more about my dream coaching practice at experientialdreamwork.com, and you can email me at catherine@ksquid.org. That's KATHERINE@ksqd.org. Do contact me so I can sign you up for your free introductory dream consultation. If you do like this show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or tell a friend how much you are enjoying it. I'd like to thank my program assistant, Max Deaton, and our creative musician, Rick Kleffel, who created an original composition for our ambient music today, our email from Sally. And thank you to fabulous donors who support this station. It's always a good time to donate to K-Squid. You'll find that at ksqd.org, and tell them you're a Dream Journal listener. When you wake up tomorrow morning, take a minute to look within. Do you remember a dream? Write it down and bring it to the next Dream Journal. I am Catherine Bell, and you are listening to KSQD Santa Cruz.
Climbed aboard the Dreamweaver train. Trying to take away